Hi everyone, welcome to Friday Flashback, and today I'm looking at this date book that I made probably 12-13 years ago, and it's just got little pockets on each page, and each page has got a card in it with the month. And the idea was that you would then put your special dates, birthdays, etc. in it, and I've done a little bit of decoration, put some photos in here as well. So I wanted to see how this stacks up in 2020. I'm going to use these papers from Stamperia called Grand Hotel. I have a flip through on this, so I have to put the link in there for you so you can go and look at it. But there are really good pages to use in here for a date book because it has dates in it. So that's why I sort of thought I'd try and recreate the date book, the updated version of the date book. And plus the papers are absolutely gorgeous. The first thing I'm going to do is just measure the dimensions of the original date book. So it's around about 3.5 by 6.25. Now I know that this was done with a pre-made packaged template, if you like. So there were all of these pages and the little spine binding thing, and everything was packaged up, and all you had to do was add the photos, fill out the date cards and put a cover on it. So I need to recreate that, and I'm going to do that using manila folder. You can see in here that's what was used for the actual pre-made packaged version as well. I've created the little spine part so that I can put my papers on here, and I've also left it so that it has a front cover. So that's the 3.5 by 6 inch size that I'm working with, and now I'll cut some papers to fit in here. So I've made 6 little spines so that I can have a date or a month on either side, and I'll just stick all this together, and then I'll add some papers and some date things. So there's my little spine mechanism, and I did this from an offcut, so the back page isn't quite as wide as it needs to be, but I'll fix that because I'm adding papers to it, so it's not really the end of the world really. And I have cut a piece of paper 6 inches high and 7 inches wide and scored it in half, and now I'm going to pop it on here. So I'm going to create both sides of the page at the one time. So I'll start by putting some glue down on here. I'm also just going to write on this one so I know it's the front inside cover and that is up, so that I don't put my papers or something in upside down, because while I'm doing this I'm going to create pockets in these as well, so I need to stick the bottom together but not the top so that I can put things into here. This is a little bit fiddly because you've got to, you're working with these spine pieces being so close, but it's a good way to get a book that doesn't have a large spine and a large profile, because you want to be able to hold it in your hand, maybe put it in your handbag or whatever. This would also make an excellent gift, particularly if you've got somebody in your family or your circle of friends who've got lots of birthdays they need to remember. And I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Now this is the same paper, but it's the other side, so I'll create some contrast between the first and second one. The other thing that I've done is I had to pull this up again so I could put a notch in here. So before I put this one down, I will notch where it needs to be notched. And then before I stick it down, I'm going to also do some inking around the edges of it. The washi that I've chosen is very pale and isn't going to stand out too much. It's just this one here. It's got some numbers on it, and I'm really hoping that I have enough to do all of the book. Now in this one I'm going to use some magnets. I don't really use magnets in my books yet, but I've got some, so I thought that I would do that. And I'll just put it sort of here. Now I'm going to create a piece that's going to go around all of the cover and overlap and come onto that magnet, and I'll put the other piece of magnet on so it will stay together. So I need to be 3.5, so 7, and about 1/2 inch for the spine, so that's 7.5, 8, so 9.5 inches I think. But I think first what I'll do is I'll create it a little bit bigger than that and wrap it round and see how we go. Now the piece I'm using is the back cover because it's got a beautiful pattern on it, so why not? And all of this will be hidden so you won't see that it's the back cover. And I'm actually going to start in the centre here, cover this front one at the same time. I haven't scored it or anything at this point. I find that it's difficult, well for me anyway, to get those scores in the exact right place. So instead of scoring it first, I'm going to stick it on and then I'll use my bone scorer just to score it as we go. Just a little score in there and then it will fold reasonably easily, I believe, on top of that magnet. Now I've got the other magnet here and I just wanted to check that that's going to come on there. Oh yes, it's fine. They're not super strong, these magnets, but I think they're all right. Now the next one is going to go up to there, and I will create a little spine score as well so that it's got an actual spine on it rather than just folding it over. Just create that score through there. So I need to put another piece on here to wrap into the front cover so I can add that magnet on. So I cut another piece. This was a leftover from one of the ones I'd cut earlier. And I'm going to put that on here. I'll get that down here first and then I'll determine where that other magnet has to go and how I'm going to do the inside cover. And then I can decorate. So I'll cover that whole front piece. And I want to score through here so it'll fold easily. Making that a bit more, putting a bit more pressure on there to score that line, because this is quite, it's only 2 pieces of cardstock, so it's not going to fold as easily as when I did the other bits. And then I want this to overlap. Oh, magnet stuck to my ruler. I want this to overlap a little bit, so that's where my magnet is in there. Oh, it's certainly strong, and I want it to overlap and then fold back, so I'll just work out where that's got to go. I think 1.5 inches will be fine. So I ended up putting the magnet on its own little piece. I need to run something along here because it looks a bit weird now, but that's closing up quite nicely. It's not going to come open except when you want it to, and then you can shut it up again. So I'm guessing that my months will fit on here. So I put the months there, but I don't have another sheet that's got these on it. It's only one. I don't really want to stick that on and then not be able to see the back of it. Okay, so we'll put all these in, and I'm going to make these into a pocket as well. And it's a pity to cover that, isn't it? But there's not 2 of them, and I need to make a choice. So I've chosen to put the month where you can write people's names and the date in there. I guess you could always get another packet of this paper if you wanted to and have both of them then, or use it in a different way. So that's going to create a little tuck spot in there. I've now got all of my months in at the bottom, and they're all pockets. So now I'm going to cut some of these tags out so that I can put them in those pockets. And it's just a matter of fussy cutting these. Now, if you haven't heard of fussy cutting, because I saw someone the other day who was asking, what is fussy cutting? So fussy cutting is simply cutting around the edge of an image like this. And because some images are quite detailed, it's quite fussy to cut them out. And I guess that's where it's got its name from. Just remember, if you're cutting images like this, don't cut right to the edge of the image. Don't cut the border of the image off. It'll look much nicer if you leave a tiny little bit on the edge of your image. Now, there's an actual scientific reason behind this. I was at a class one day, an art class, and the teacher was explaining why it is that you leave a tiny little bit. And even in your art, when you're overlapping, like drawing hands and you're overlapping them, you need to have this same sort of thing happen. And I can't for the life of me remember what that's called now, but it's an actual term in the art world. So I've left a tiny little border. I'm going to ink that border right around the edge. And that is going to become a tag in each one of these little pockets. How cute does that look? And then I think I'm going to leave the back. The back's so pretty, I don't really want to cover it with anything, but I guess you could. You could make it, like cover it with a piece of plain cardstock so it could be written on. Although you could write on that anyway. So I just need to cut another 11 now. I'm finishing up the edges on this now, and I'm done. I've got all of these lovely little tags all done and in here. And if there's anything that you'd like to see in Friday Flashback, please just get in touch and let me know. I'm happy to give anything a go. It would be interesting to see what you think of. And I will see you in the next video. So I hope you enjoyed that, and let me know if you think that it stood the test of time. This is Deborah. Thanks for watching. Cheers.